I was wrong about character creation in Jump Force. In the past, I've said things like, I don't want create a character to be a focus or the avatar system to be a focus of Jump Force, because it will take away development time from the main roster, which is true, but I've recently changed my mind on this. I'm happy to see development time be taken away from the main roster in order to improve character creations. The reason my mind has recently changed on this is because of Soul Calibur 6. I've never played a Soul Calibur game. I do not like a single Soul Calibur character. However, I do like characters like Ruby Rose and Mirio and Sarada Uchiha, and I can create all of these characters inside of Soul Calibur. On top of that, these characters seem very unlikely to show up in Jump Force, but I could create those characters in Jump Force as long as I'm provided enough options to do so. Granted, I wouldn't have access to all the abilities of those characters, but I'm not really concerned about that because I noticed while playing Soul Calibur 6 that it just doesn't matter. You don't really need those original abilities. What you do need is a large number of customization options. I would much prefer 400 customization options with a larger variety of looks with a 40 character roster as opposed to 100 customization options with a 60 character roster. As long as the customization options are wide and varied enough, you would be able to create a rough version of any character who didn't make it onto the main roster. For example, I like Trunks a lot. It doesn't look like Trunks will show up in Jump Force, and he's certainly not going to show up in a game like Soul Calibur, so I decided to make a rough version of Trunks, and you're going to be watching me create him for the rest of this video, well, not the rest of this video, but until I'm done. And what you'll notice as I go through this character is that I don't end up with a perfect match, and I don't even end up with the version of Trunks that I wanted, because I wanted the version of him with a jacket, but there's not a jacket in Soul Calibur that works, so I had to go with a different version of him, which is unfortunate, and it's not like I could get the perfect Super Saiyan hair, so I went with his normal hair, but it's what I wanted. I wanted Trunks, and I'm certainly not going to get a moveset that is accurate to what Trunks would do, so I ended up going with Gerald as his moveset, and this is probably going to be true of Jump Force as well. I hope, at least, that I'll be able to make a rough version of Trunks, even if it's not exactly Trunks. I'm hoping I'll be able to give a guy a jacket, give a guy some jeans, and give him some boots, give him somebody's moveset that has a sword, give him Gatling Gun from Vegeta, give him Spirit Breaker, heck, give him Spirit Gun while you're at it if he needs another move, and done. Granted, it's not going to be the same quality as the rest of the characters in the base roster, but I will have Trunks. I think it's much better to have an infinite roster size with Create a Character than it is to have a slightly higher roster size with less customization options. I think it's significantly more important that they focus on adding more customization options for these Create a Characters, including new moves, by the way, which means they will have to make more characters, because as far as I'm aware, the only moves that Create a Characters are going to have access to are moves that are already in the game. So that means is get as many as characters in there as possible, but also focus on that Create a Character. I would argue that Create a Character is much more important at this point, because there's no way that we get all the characters we want. Again, I would much prefer a smaller roster with more Create a Character options than a larger roster with less Create a Character options, because at the end of the day, whatever character you want, as long as there's enough Create a Character options, you'll be able to make a rough version of that character. It's actually insane to me that I didn't realize this earlier. It actually took Soul Calibur 6 to convince me that this was the case, but Create a Character is way more important for Jump Force than I initially realized. Being able to create any character you want is such a big deal. Think about characters like One Punch Man, think about characters like Eren Yeager, think about all the characters who can't make it into this game because they're not a part of Weekly Shonen Jump. You can create those with Create a Character. If I can create those characters inside of Soul Calibur, you can damn well bet I should be able to make them inside of Jump Force. On top of that, there's a bunch of characters within Weekly Shonen Jump who probably won't make the cut. Hinata is a character who's probably not going to make the cut, but I like Hinata a lot, so why not create Hinata? Same thing can be said for any Weekly Shonen Jump character who isn't a main part of that franchise. The other day I made a video on Medaka. Medaka might not end up making it onto the main roster. If she doesn't make it onto the main roster, I can create her as a Create a Character, and I can give her regular brawler moves. In fact, you might end up taking a lot of Togoro's moves to be able to create Medaka, but regardless, you get my point. You can make anything work with Create a Character. Granted, again, it won't be that perfect one-to-one like it should be if it was created from the ground up by the developers, but it's better than not having the character at all. Currently, at the time of me recording this video, we haven't seen a lot of the customization system for Create a Characters yet. What we've seen is stuff that the main characters already wear, for example, Goku and Naruto's suit, but we've also seen one item at least from characters who aren't a part of the main roster. For example, Grandpa Gohan's mask is an option on Create a Character, so we know at the very least some other characters will be referenced even if they're not directly a part of the roster, which is awesome. We can only hope that they continue to add options like that from already existing characters in anime, but on top of that, original clothing options as well that regular humans would wear, just so we can create certain looks. For example, if I want to create Light Yagami as his own playable character instead of the story mode version of him, I can give him other characters' moveset, and I should be able to do that fairly easily because I hope that a suit is a thing I can put on my Create a Character It doesn't have to be exactly Light Yagami's suit, but just any suit. And I'm sure you've got some type of scruffy hair similar to what Light Yagami wears. So I can create Light Yagami sort of, hopefully, as long as they have that option there for me. It all comes down to the amount of options that are available to us. For example, in Soul Calibur, there isn't quite enough options to be able to create anything you want. In fact, there are some things that are a little bit restrictive. For example, this dress, I can't have any leg wear at all on my character, unless you count boots as leg wear, which really sucks because that makes it really difficult to create characters like Sakura who would wear this type of dress and then say like some shorts or whatever. I hope that Jump Force can take the best of what we've already seen from other creator character systems and the creator character system we've seen so far in Jump Force without focusing too much on adding in references from anime and instead just creating an in-depth character creation system where I can create pretty much any character I want. At least visually. I don't mean by their moveset. I don't expect to be able to create Gaara and then give him sand moves, but I want to at least be able to visually create Gaara. Hairstyles, for example, are something I hope we get a large variety of. Again, Trunks probably won't be in the game, but why not be able to have Trunks' hair? For example, in the beta, we saw one of the creator characters have Shikamaru's hair, which is awesome, because we're almost definitely not getting Shikamaru as a playable character, but I'm going to be able to create him as a CAC. Granted, again, he won't have Shikamaru's moveset, but that doesn't really matter. I just care about visually looking at Shikamaru. And if everything I'm talking about in this video means that I'm not getting insert character here that you really want to see, or that I really want to see, well then I don't care. Because as long as there is a color slider and a large enough variety of items in the game, then I can create an infinite number of characters. Not only from anime, but from any source material in the world. This would set Jump Force apart from any other arena fighter, and it would completely change the game. Really, the most disappointing thing about this to me is that I didn't notice this sooner. Please let me know what you think of the creator character system in Jump Force, and what options would you like to see be added in the future. My name has been Bilbzy. I'd really appreciate you leaving a like on the video, subscribing to keep up to date with future content. Once Justice comes out this week, I'm so excited about it. Of course, I'll be covering that later on in the week. Tomorrow, I'm going to post a video about Sasuke's moveset, comparing it to J-Stars, kind of like what I did with Naruto, because you guys seem to like that quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching. My name's been Bilbzy, and I'll see you in the next video.